they agreed to operate very much like a restaurant with lots of restrictions in place. So the part that I will say has been difficult, and I know we've talked about this, is on the enforcement side. If we have orders in place, but they're not being enforced, which is not Central District Health's responsibility or even the authority to do that, it makes it even more challenging. If we talk about issuing more orders, and how do we, to the kindling example, where do you take that kindling off? And those are conversations we need to continue having. Be prepared for the cases continuing to rise and the hospitals to be impacted. That's kind of how the way this works. So I don't have an exact plan like let's do this or let's do that, but I think we really need to be thoughtful about it as we move forward, because no matter what you do, no matter what kindling you remove from the fire, it has consequences, economic consequences, social consequences, etc.
Madam Chair, this is Teddy.
Yes, Ted, go ahead.
Yeah, Russ, just one other thought here as we deal with the schools with this. And that is, have we discussed with them or do you know of any schools with operations plans that would allow those kids that didn't want to come, parents and kids that didn't want to come, they could stay at home, they can do online learning, they could even be connected online into the classroom while it's happening. Others that wanted their kids there could have them attend, and they would be in the classroom. There'd be less in the classroom so that we could socially distance them better. They'd be face masked. We make sure that teachers are safe. Have we seen an operations plan like that or discussed with them some sort of mixed model where kids could be educated in person with 60% of the class or whatever it was, 40% perhaps at home, in some mixed model way?
That's what they do in Mountain Home. Do you want me to take it?
Yeah. Madam Chair, this is Russ.
Yes, Russ, go ahead.
So what Dr. Epperly, what you're describing is to a great extent exactly how the schools are operating. In fact, throughout our district, not just here in Ada County, where online learning is an option, and there's options, right? There's online, and then there's also virtual, to your point, where students could join that classroom without physically being present, but actively participate. And that's what's actually, I think, has helped the schools do as well as they've done in terms of reducing transmission, because if you have 35 students in a small classroom, it's maybe impossible to physically distance like we know works. So that's part of that idea in our recommendations, is to slow the reopening, I call it reopening, but basically bringing all the students back in the classroom. Now that we're seeing the cases rising, we're in category red for Ada County, yellow for our other counties, is that, I think one maybe recently went to green, is that they're doing the things they need to be doing. They have really excellent plans in place. They've been very responsive, as Kim could attest to working with us. And in fact, as you're aware, at least 2 of the schools closed short term in our health district, just to kind of figure out what is happening, how many more cases might come out of this. So I couldn't be more pleased with what they've done to provide the best learning opportunities and accommodate the parents and students' preferences, given the degree of risk associated with any type of interaction with others. So I'll stop there.
Thank you.
Madam Chairwoman?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Unless anybody has any additional questions about what the designation for current guidance is as listed under new business, I would move to adjourn.
Okay, I agree to adjourn. Do I hear a second?
Madam Chair, before we do so, let me just ask Russ a question. Russ, is there anything further on this topic that we as a board need to know before we move to adjourn? Have we covered things to your satisfaction, or are there things that you'd like to make sure the board does discuss with you and the public?
Madam Chair, Russ?
Yes, Russ, go ahead.
You know, I think the one thing that we really need to be very aware of is the impact that sports, fall sports, now that everything is ramped up, is going to have on community spread. That's something that I know is a very high priority from the grade school level through the university level. Right now, as I mentioned, we've made the recommendation that those should be paused. I know that that's not happening from what I read in the news, and it's not to say that they don't have great plans in place for sports too, limiting the number of spectators, for example, having students wear face coverings when sitting on a bench, not sharing water bottles, or doing things that help. But from what we're seeing already, and I keep referring back to Kim, she's the expert on this, and it's her entire team of disease investigators and contact tracers. That's an area we really need to focus on our attention, and eventually probably, I would say, when we talk about restrictions and orders, that's something that would come to mind if we start seeing significant outbreaks occurring in that environment. So thanks for the question.
Russ, we do have a motion for adjournment. Is there a second?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Hasbrook. I'll second that.
Thank you, Elle. Any further discussion? Where I call for a vote by county. Hearing none, I will call for a vote by county, starting with Valley County,
Commissioner Hasbrook, aye.
Elmore County,
Representative Blanksma, aye.
Ada County,
DIANNA, aye.
Ted Epperly, aye.
Diane.
Michelle Chiondo, aye.
Okay, thank you. Motion for adjournment passes, and I just thank the staff and the board for their input. I want to also express our appreciation for the police that participated in listening to our meeting. Our next meeting, as Russ previously mentioned, will be this Friday, October 16th, beginning at 8:30 a.m. So the meeting stands adjourned. Have a good evening, everyone.